Just 4 more rounds of the World GT Championship left to go. It's hello to all of you here from RaceSpotTV for round number 9 of the World GT Championship here at Oschersleben, the first time that the series has visited this venue. My name is Paul Smith, alongside me is Peter Mackay behind the scenes here in the commentary box. Peter, new track for these drivers to learn, and it's a new challenge.
It really is, yeah, a circuit that's relatively new to the iRacing service. Many of the drivers joked after last week that they hadn't actually even bought the track for their iRacing membership yet. So it is an all-new theory here. 3 sprint races, it's going to be exciting.
We started off the season back in January with Watkins Glen, before we then headed to Interlagos and the Red Bull Ring. Then, after a week off, it was Bathurst, Circuit Zolder and Twin Ring Nutegi. This tranche of races, we've been to Sebring, Monza last week and Oschersleben this week, before the final week of action, the final rounds of action, should I say, take us to Daytona for the final endurance race, Manicure for the final feature race, and then Hockenheim for the final sprint race of the season. So there you see, 1st of May is the final round of the championship. And speaking of championships, wow, it is mighty close in your pro standings, because the Andaluti currently leads the pack by 26 points over Alan Vasquez, with Alex Davidson a further few points back, 44 off of the lead in 3rd place. Ross McFarlane, 117 points off of the championship lead in 4th, ahead of Lucas Prada, his teammate. Christoph Krekas, Fabio Unvadrus, Jack Sedgwick, James Armstrong and Hunter McDaniel round out the top 10. In Pro-Am, James Boemi has got a 65-point lead over Daniel Sedgley, with Tom Brown just 2 points behind him in 3rd place. Justin Clarson's is in 4th, ahead of Pete Harrod, with Ethan Critchley, Tim Perry, Richard Simler, Ben Palmer and Adam Watson. In your AM standings then, 147 points separate Andy Archer and Team Mad's Maciej Sakovic. It's a tall order for Maciej or anybody else in AM to catch up. Sarah Raab, not that far back from Maciej, to be in 3rd place, with Adam Hedgecock and Jack Osborne 4th and 5th places. Severe Ridpath, Paddy Faulkner, Ben Gregory, Jonathan Walker and Lars van Rijn round out the 10. In the Pro Teams Championship, Pure Sims have a 535-point lead in that one, ahead of Brabham Esports, with the German SimRacing.de by ACV team not that far back actually from Brabham in 3rd place. Altus Esports in 4th, ahead of Brabham Hissing Sid, with Pure Sims SimLab, Altitude Esports, German SimRacing.de, Altitude Esports White and Beehive Racing rounding out 10. In the AM Teams Championship, it is Fat Atom Racing who have just got a slender 20-point lead over the Platinum Racing team in 2nd place. Then 100 points back from them is Altitude Esports Blue in 3rd place, with DCW Racing 4th, ahead of Team Mad. Penguin RC Simulation are in 6th, ahead of Century Sim Racing, Inex Racing, 3M UK and Boosted. So that is how things stand here in the championships. We've got a full pace lap here at Oschersleben, so let us take you through your starting grid here then for this particular round of the championship. And I can tell you, it is a really interesting front row of the grid, because Aaron Vasquez is on pole position for Altus Esports, should I say. The Altitude Esports driver, a Pro-Am, James Boemi, shares that front row with him. Jack Sedgwick and Philip Koenig, 2nd row of the grid, with Fabio Unvadrus and Christoph Krekas on row number 3. Row number 4 for Massimo Lacatello, with Daniel Handover, the next best Pro-Am, on row 4. Row 5 for Alex Davidson, Lucas Prada, Hunter McDaniel and Marvin Lesmolman share row number 6. 7th row of the grid for James Armstrong and Tom Brown, with Ethan Critchley in the top AM driver, Jack Osborne, on row number 8. Row 9 for Tim Perry and Justin Clarkson. 10th row of the grid shared by Adam Watson and Addy Archer, with Sophia Ridpath and Daniel Sedgley on row number 11. The 12th row of the grid, Pete Harrod and Richard Simner. Row 13, it's Cody Grosgrove with Maciej Sakovic, with Chris Gruch and Ashla Finch then on row number 14. 15th row is Ben Palmer and Adam Hedgecock. 16th row of the grid is Mark Woodhouse with Ben Gregory. Lars Van Rijn and Sarah Raab share row number 17. Row 18 for Paddy Faulkner and Brian Sohn. And then the final row of the grid, Jeroen Kaiser, and look at that, no qualifying time set for Ross McFarlane. So there we are, there are the drivers all on the grid here, ready to go, and 38 car grid, Peter, but crucially your championship leader Leandro Andaruti has decided that today is a day that he fancies taking a drop score.
Yeah, the drivers are allowed to have a drop score taken off their total when the championship points are totted up. Now, you can do that in a couple of ways. You can, as Leandro's done and as Ross McFarlane did back at Zolder, you can effectively take a tactical and not turn up and just take a 0, and that's your drop round. In my opinion, you're better to do every round. If you can do every round, do it, and then when we get to drop scores, if your drop score is better than 0, it is to your advantage. So Leandro's got a 26-point advantage in the championship at the moment. Once the drop scores shake out, well, his drop score will be a big fat 0. So could that come back to haunt him?
Well, don't forget, there are 2 drop scores in total for this series. Now, you can't take a drop score on a round where you pick up a penalty. So that then does complicate things a little bit for us in the commentary box. But fortunately for us, when we come to the final round, there is no drop score for the final round. Those points are what decide the championship. So at least we can keep a track of things on the final day. And we've had some thrilling final days, haven't we, here in this championship?
Oh yes, many thrilling days, both here in the World GT Championship and the World Touring Car Series, part of the World Sim Racing paddock that we broadcast here on RaceSpotTV. And well, yes, it certainly can go down to the wire, and well, our final round of the season is going to be a thriller as well, but 4 to go, including this one, plenty to shake out.
As we go along then, so this is a different venue for us here today, and well, these drivers, they will be finding themselves in a different environment. They've got to be used to how they all pan out in terms of how they race and how they go there and where to overtake, and that'll be something that we really need to keep an eye on, because this Oschersleben track, of course, is hosted with the ADAC GT Masters is one that I think of when it comes to GT racing around this venue. So that is one. There is precedence for GT racing here, but with the pace car coming off to the sidelines, we'll be getting set. Alan Vasquez will be the one setting the pace, and he's jumped early. He's going away from the front. The green flag is out, and we're underway. With 3 20-minute races down towards turn number 1 they go. Fast sweeping left into the right. Slow it all down. This long radius right-hander. Everybody get through that one. So far so good. Everybody nice and tidy through the first couple of corners. I say that, but there's a DCW racing car around in the background of shot. We stay green flag racing here for the time being as the drivers are heading through towards this triple apex left-hander. 1, 2, and then 3 right at the end here before you turn right through this hairpin.
Yeah, and then through turn 9 and 10, and then up towards my favourite corner, McDonald's. Up here, this really tricky chicane as well. Try not to break those track limits. Go as far to the edge as you can without breaking that track limit there, and then opening up onto the straightaway here down towards Shell Curve. This is a great start from Aaron Vasquez, who is getting closer and closer to that championship lead. He's now just 26 points back from Leandro Andaruti, who, of course, is not here tonight.
Yeah, Absolutely. So, be interested to see how the championship all pans out here throughout the rest of this season. But across the line they come then. It is Vasquez from Jack Cedric who got the jump on James Boehme, who was almost caught just sitting at the start. Got caught out by that start. Through turns 1 and 2 they go again. Thankfully, they did redesign turns 1 and 2 because the famous Scotsman had something very harsh to say about the design of that first corner.
Oh, we just like moaning here in Scotland. That's understand. That's just normal. We'd take it personally to the designers of the original Oschersleben circuit. It's very technical, very, very tricky in places, and it is a circuit where the drivers who've really put in the time, the preparation will get a benefit. I mean, we saw James Boehme do this for Sebring. You know, it was a race where we had the iRacing special event that weekend, and clearly he put the laps in, and that, you know, shock horror, I'd put him much further up the order, and I suspect he's done the same for this round as Ben Gregory, and he's now, I think today is his 300th World GT race, and that's not a way to kick it off.
And there was another car off there, I think it was Ben Palmer. Let's take a look here then. So this is Gregory down towards triple and onto the brakes, looks to the side and just gets on the grass, so that's all on his own. Is that one from Gregory, head first into the tyre barrier, and meanwhile Gregory gets into the back of, I believe that was your own Kaiser in the team man car.
Yeah, that's just a little mistake there from Ben Palmer, kind of checked up in front of him, but through that part of the circuit it's just so tricky. Like you mentioned, Paul, you're going through that triple corner, turn 6, 7, 8 and then 9. It just sort of curves back on you nastily. It's almost like a very smooth country road, if you like. It's curved like your favourite country road, but with a racetrack tarmac. Really.
I'll tell you what, I don't know many country roads that are that size, one way, with that nice grippy tarmac.
Yes. Good point, officer.
One thing I was going to ask you as we're reaching the 4-minute mark of this race is, where on earth do these drivers overtake around here? Because you've mentioned it, it's a very technical track and it's not the easiest place to overtake, is it?
No, definitely not. This is a circuit where you make your moves up the grid by just putting your rival under pressure. That's really the way to do it. Okay, it doesn't make the greatest, like, you know, crash bang wall of entertainment, but it is a very good driving challenge, I would say, to have that patience to not go for silly dive bombs, etc., but actually try and push your opponent into a mistake mentally. That's it. Again, we always talk about it here in the World GT Championship. At the end of the season, we come out with the most complete champion. Those who can do sprint races, reverse grids, endurance, feature races, etc. You know, and that comes down to the choice of circuits, and very carefully curated. And this Oschersleben circuit, I think, is a really good challenge, because if we just went to the same circuits every season, you know, we'd get stale. I think it's great to see the drivers put to the test on a fairly new circuit.
As these drivers running through here, where we are on board with Massimo Locatello, and through this fast chicane. I mean, it almost seems pointless having that chicane there, doesn't it, with how fast that those drivers go through there. And, but it can upset the car if you get it wrong through there, because there is a sausage curve going into the first right of that chicane, and can catch a few people out if you just clip that curve wrong.
Is it making your eyes twitch with the track limits? I thought it maybe would be. Very, very calm first 5 minutes of the race meeting. Of course, this has made his move. Boehme has gone by Jack Cedric, so the Pro-Am driver, James Boehme, leading his championship by 65 points from Daniel Sechley, who's nowhere to be seen in this race. So it's this is how he got it done. Again, is it a slowdown penalty for Cedric? I think it might be, you know, because he stepped right over the edge of the track limit there. Oh no! Oh, well held. Oh, there you go. That's how you make moves at Oschersleben.
Yeah, that's also known as a change of underpants for for Jack Sedgwick, and I think he was sending the series organisers a laundry bill by the end of this season, because he's had a couple of squeaky bum times throughout this season in terms of how he's had to just breathe in and hope that he doesn't get involved in anybody else's incidents. You mentioned Daniel Sedgley. He has actually gained 3 places in this race. He's up to 19th now. But when you compare it to James Buemi is way out ahead of the rest of the AM field. I mean, Daniel Handover is an Pro-Am driver, should I say. And that's 7th place for the Brabham Esports Racing Sim driver.
And that's a very impressive run in itself. Right behind his teammate, or stablemate I should say, from the Brabham Esports team in the green and gold rather than the blue and gold, Christoph Karekes, excuse me. So yeah, really good run from Daniel Handover, who joined the championship halfway through the season. So good to have him on board. And yeah, what a drive so far from Buemi, and he'll be in line to score a huge chunk of points, being at that position in second. Now, it is all fairly civilised at the moment, folks, with it being in qualifying order. However, when we get our reverse grids in race 2 and 3, do not expect that to be the case.
Interesting thing for you, Peter, for me to bring up here. Ross McFarlane did not take the race start.
Interesting. Now, he's already had 1 drop score, so is he just deciding this is my second?
He must be thinking that, but by being in the session, if he had a penalty, say for a qualifying exclusion, on the technicality, he would actually have served that qualifying ban if he had one. As he says Paul, who was rushing down to the penalty sheet.
That is interesting. He certainly was on the penalty sheet from last week. So, yeah, interesting tactics of how to play the nothing to serve.
No.
Interesting. Wow. Well, there can be all kinds of reasons behind it, but it's opportunities. Opportunities for the rest. Alex Davidson's had a fairly anonymous day so far. He's in 8th position, whereas his championship rival Aaron Vazquez is 15 points ahead of him 18 points ahead of him in the championship. But more importantly, for this moment, well, he's 7 positions up the road, and crucially, he's on the top of the shop and has just set the fastest lap of the race also.
So, Locatello, he's just loitering at the moment in 9th place behind Alex Davidson, as he pointed out there. Lucas Prada, another one of those championship contenders in that Mercedes, he's in 10th place. So a couple of your championship contenders down the bottom end of the top 10 are really able to move forward here, whereas Aaron Vazquez is actually being caught by James Buemi. I must point that out to you, because Buemi is only now half a second between him and the race leader, and they've got traffic. They're coming up to traffic now. Hopefully this traffic does move over and let them by. Yes, it does, so thank goodness for that. But if you're Vazquez right now, you must be concerned about Buemi and his pace here.
No question about it. No question about it. This is an incredible drive from James Buemi.
1.1 seconds. Buemi was quicker that last lap, so Vazquez must have made a mistake.
He had a big moment coming out the final corner, but I don't think that alone would have done it. When you look at the I ratings, James Buemi is right up the top of the Pro-Am class, 5,800. Daniel Handover is 6,100. But Aaron Vazquez, 9,200. So that gives you an idea of what James Buemi is pulling off here. I mean, Jack Sedgwick, former iRacing World Championship driver, and he is 7,100.
We're just trying to find where it was, and it wasn't at this point because Buemi's already caught up there. So I don't know what's happened to. It might have got a slowdown penalty through the chicane, might Vazquez. So it's not Tim Perry, it's Vazquez is that. But I bet it's a slow down penalty through the chicane here. I bet he gets it, cuts a little too much. Yep, there we go.
Whoa,
big moment.
That's more than a slow down penalty. That was a huge moment, and then had another big moment coming out the final corner also. So Vasquez has got to steady the ship a little bit, and he has. 123.5 last time by, to 123.9 for Buemi. So immediately responds and pulls 0.4 of a second out of Buemi. But Buemi is not fading. He is not fading at all. In fact, it was just a tenth and a half off the pace of Cedric last time by. So he is more and absolutely more than holding his own in this very illustrious company. He could get. I mean, we don't see Pro-Am drivers finishing on the overall podium in the opening race of the day. We do in reverse grid situation, but not in qualifying order. This is remarkable.
Well, remember, we had people winning races in reverse grid races who have been AMs or Pro-Ams.
Yes.
But never, well, not to my knowledge, and this is where I need somebody who's more versed on the old history of the World GT Championship. Have we ever had a Pro-Am win the opening race of a day? I think that might go on for someone like Michael Evdoka or Morgan Butler to if they happen to be watching, to be able to let us know about that. Clarson's has got ahead of Watson further down the order, so that's for 16th place. I saw that change on the timing tower on the left hand side, and there's a little bit of gaps forming. There's a big gaggle for the lead, and then sort of gaps for the rest of the field, isn't there?
There is. Sophia Redpath will be very happy with how things are going at the moment. She's in 18th position overall, but leading the AM class 4 places ahead of championship leader Andy Archer, who has a whole cast of drivers following him. It's led by Jack Osborne, then Adam Hedgecock, Sarah Rabb, Paddy Faulkner. They're all in there for the fun as well. But good drive so far from Sophia Redpath.
There you see how people compare in the different class categories. So Vasquez does lead Pro ahead of Cedric and Koenig. Good race from Koenig so far in Pro-Am. Pro-Am, should I say, is James Buemi. Then he's a good few seconds ahead of Daniel Handover with Tom Brown, the other Brabham Esports Hissing Sid driver, in 3rd place for his class. Sophia Redpath, first in class, as you pointed out, Peter, in 18th place, ahead of Andy Archer, the championship leader. Sophia is, about 4 places overall clear of Andy, and then Jack Osborne a few places back from Andy Archer as well. Archer has just been a class amongst the field when it comes to the AM category of drivers, hasn't he?
Oh, no question about it. He's 147 points ahead of Maciek Sakiewicz, and that, I mean, in the context of the AM class, that's an enormous gap, because that would take such a big amount of results to close that gap in, because of course the AM drivers and the Pro-Ams and the Pros, they all score points based on their overall position. So that's very important to bear in mind. That's why James Buemi, this isn't just going to be a win, it's going to be a win in capital letters if he can hold on to the 2nd position overall, because he will score those points for 2nd position overall and will pull a much bigger advantage in the class championship.
There is Lucas Prada on screen right now, ahead of Marvin Lesmolman and Hunter McDaniel. Oh, and ahead of them, look at that, Davidson having to go defensive on Locatello, down towards the shell, right and then left. And that just shows how difficult it is to overtake, because Locatello got a great run on Davidson out of the chicane, out of McDonald's, but then just down that Stadion Garage straight, it's not quite a long enough straight down there.
No, not quite, and that little bit of an exchange has brought Lucas Prada into the picture. We spoke to him after the race last week, and there's a big move going on there, that is the Porsche of Marvin Lesmolman being passed by an aggressive Hunter McDaniel there. So good move from the Brabham Audi driver. But yeah, we spoke to Lucas Prada, Pure Sims Mercedes, last week after the race, and he was saying, he's just trying to find his feet. This is his first season in the championship with Pure Sims, and very much playing a supporting role. He said he was very modest, I thought, Paul. It was very, very modest indeed, but he's in a pretty illustrious stable of drivers there.
And you think, even if he's running as a... even if he is running as a little bit of a supporting role, 5th place in the championship is nothing to be sniffed at, is it? He's doing a good job, considering it is his first season in the championship, in a highly competitive championship, which can catch quite a few people out. It can even ruffle the feathers of a few World Championship drivers who have ever come in.
Well, no question. You know, if Lucas keeps driving the way he's driving, and keeps that consistently from now to the end of the season, he could easily finish in the top 3 of the championship. At the moment, is like you said, he's 5th. With the way that things have gone, drop scores, etc., do not be surprised if you see him in the top 3, which I think is a rookie season. Watch out, and bear in mind he has done that in the Mercedes. Nobody else in that car. Everybody else has gone for a mixture of Audis, Lamborghinis, Ferraris. But the Mercedes is all out on his own island, which would hint at the fact that is not the strongest car. So yeah, he's doing a top job. Big thumbs up.
With 2.5 minutes remaining here in this race, it is Alan Vasquez for Altus Esports who currently leads this race, 1.4 seconds ahead of James Buemi, who happens to be the top Pro-Am driver. 2nd place overall, looking for a really good result. Jack Sedgwick, 3rd place in this race, ahead of Philip Koenig in that German SimRacing.de car, ahead of his teammate Fabio Unverdruss as well. So the German SimRacing.de team doing not a bad job here, with Locatello in the top 10 as well for that outfit. In your Pro-Ams, as I said, James Buemi leads with Daniel Handover, 7th place overall, so he's going to be getting a good handful of points as well as Daniel. And then Tom Brown all the way down in 14th place overall for the 3rd place Pro-Am driver. He's got Tim Perry not that far behind him as well in that one. As we pointed out as well, Sophia Ridpath, 18th place for the best placed AM driver. She is currently 4-5 places ahead of Andy Archer, who is 2nd placed AM in this race, ahead of Jack Osborne, who's 3rd placed AM. So really good results in order here, potentially, for Sophia in her run, because she's 6th place in the AM Championship, 213 points back from Andy. It's not outside the realms of possibility. She could catch up through a good bit of fortune, because we saw last time out, Peter, that Andy Archer didn't have the best of times. No,
I mean, I think that catching Andy over the next 4 rounds is going to be a challenge, I think. But you look at 3rd place, Sarah Rabb is only 40 points away. So there's definitely a lot to shake out in AM right up until that very last lap of the last race. A big slide there from Davidson. Lucky not to get a slowdown penalty there. Ran it a little bit wide, but he's got away with it. White flag will go on to the last lap here, and Davidson is under huge pressure from Locatello in the Lambo, who is a little jink to the inside there, just thinking about it. But again, if you go to the inside there, you're going to be on the outside for the 2nd sort of omega-shaped part of the corner.
You've almost got to try and get your nose to the inside before the other car for the 2nd part of that corner, but it's so tricky to do. All these cars just veeing off these long hairpins, and it's all you can do really at this Oschersleben circuit as they run through the triple left-hander. The final time in this opening race. Don't forget, everybody, there are 2 more races coming up for you here today, and we have got grid inversions decided by the spin of a wheel. So we'll get those at the end of this race before we give you the results. But at the front, Vasquez is coming through towards the end of the race, because he's just got 2 more corners to go. And well, the young Spaniard doing a sensational job for Altus Esports. He won the opening race last time out. Once again, he's going to be a race winner. Across the line, Alan Vasquez for Altus Esports takes the win here in the World GT Championship. Race number 1 of the evening of round number 9. James Boehme is your top Pro-Am driver. And there's Boehme pulling to a stop there. Sophia Ridpath is your top AM driver across the line. There she comes. Platinum Racing Team driver getting an AM win here today. Last few cars battling it out. Maciek Sakovic there right behind Paddy Faulkner as they're going to come to the line. That's for 25th. They'll sort themselves out across the line. Yeah, interesting. Not the most action-packed, Peter, but then again, you don't expect that around this venue.
Well, there was a lot of chat. There was a lot of chat in the virtual paddock, about how chaotic the race might be because nobody knows the circuit, etc. That wasn't the case at all. And I mean, for those who tuned in last week to the race at Monza, it was utter carnage. I mean, both races were really chaotic, and a lot of drivers left with seriously, licking their wounds, really. And I do think there's an element of that, Paul. A lot of drivers have thought, right, let's get some points on the board. Let's actually make it to the checkered flag. Last week was definitely a blot in the copybook for many, and I think that's had an impact on how clean that race was.
Yeah, absolutely. So we will be looking to get them, get to decide who is going to be on pole position here. As the spin of the wheel happens, and we will find out who will be on pole position when we go through our results. And that logo was getting a bit close, but we're not going to get a full. Instead, we're going to get 19 places reversed here. And so, let's go through your results and find out who it's going to be on pole position. But Adam Vasquez for LTC Sports, tremendous result for him. He is the winner, and those results are just the pro at the moment, not the overall results. We'll get you the overall results here in just a second. Yeah, it just threw me a little bit then, not seeing James Boehme's name there. There we go, the full results then. So James Boehme was 1.5 seconds back from your race winner for Altitude Esports, but he is the top Pro-Am driver here. Then Jack Sedgwick in 3rd place for Inex Racing ahead of Philip Koenig for GermanSimRacing.de. Fabio Unvadrus and Christoph Karakas then the next two, with Daniel Handover 2nd place in Pro-Am for Brabham Hissing Sid. Alex Davidson, Massimo Locatello and Lucas Prada round out the top 10. Ultimate Daniel in 11th ahead of Marvin Lesmallman. James Armstrong in 13th place. Tom Brown is 3rd place for Brabham Esports Hissing Sid in his Pro-Am standings. Tim Perry with Justin Clarson's Adam Watson were next, with Sophia Ridpath 18th overall for Platinum Racing Team, getting AM victory here today. Ethan Critchley's 19th for Fats Atom, and that means that he will be on pole position alongside him, Sophia Ridpath. That's going to be an intriguing start to the race. Daniel Sedgley in 20th place. 21st for Ashley Finch, who had a bit of a nightmare out there, it must be said, to finish down in 21st, but did gain 7 places in that race. Andy Archer, the 2nd placed driver here today, in 22nd for Fat Atom, and his teammate Jack Osborne 1 place back, 3rd place in AM, that's 23rd overall. Adam Hedgecock ahead of Paddy Faulkner, with Maciek Sakovic, Lars Van Rijn, Sarah Raab, Ben Palmer and Jeroen Kaiser rounding out the top 30. 31st for Richard Simner ahead of Ben Gregory. Mark Woodhouse in 33rd with Cody Crosgrove. Pete Harrod down in 35th. He'll be disappointed by that. Brian Sohn for Penguin RC Simulation 1 lap down. And then the only driver not to finish was Chris Gooch. And the only driver not to take the start is Ross McFarlane. So that is how things look there in that opening race of the evening, Peter. And as I said, it was relatively calm out there, wasn't it, Peter?
Very much so, yeah, very much so. And I think it was a very well controlled drive by Aaron Vasquez. He had fantastic pace there. But I think the real tip of the cap's got to go to James Boehme, the Pro-Am driver. Clearly put in a lot of preparation for this week. Pace has been superb, and he reaps the benefits and continues to grow his lead in the Pro-Am Championship.
It certainly does. It's Peter Mackay and Paul Smith here on the coverage here, and well, we are going to be bringing you 2 more races here today in this particular round of the championship, and I will say, really good result for your Pro-Am of James Blamey, but also the Am of Sophia Ridpath. Really good result in 18th.
Yeah, very, very good. You know, Sophia's had some bad luck through the season, and that's a superb drive to get some points on the board, and she will get quite a bit closer to the kind of the hot spots in the AM Championship. I mean, Andy Archer at the moment has got such a big advantage, but there is plenty to play for down below him.
Well, make sure you join us for race number 2 in just a few moments' time. But right now, we'll get to hear from the series sponsors. Welcome back to live coverage of the World GT Championship here on RaceSpotTV. My name is Paul Smith. Alongside me is Peter Mackay in the commentary box. Well, we've got the first of our reverse grid races coming up for you in just about 6 minutes' time. But before we get into that, I just want to point out something that you touched on, Peter, during the commentary of the first race. Ben Gregory completed his 300th race here in the World GT Championship.
What an incredible achievement. I mean, Ben's been here since the very beginning of the championship, so he is our most experienced driver in the field. Quite a milestone to reach. Here's to 400 and 500.
Well, if we're still commentating on him then I think I'll have a few more grey hairs by that point. But no, it is an incredible achievement to be the only ever present here in the series, and to keep coming back. You know, it's worth, you know, celebrating that point. You know, there's very few drivers in their careers will race in one series, every championship series that it has run.
Oh, it's incredibly unusual. Incredibly unusual. I think that's an achievement that really is worth bigging up. So yeah, big support in the chat if you can. We know that Ben always watches the races back, and yeah, to be able to do that, and of course be a present member of the World Touring Car Series on Thursday nights as well. So very much a stalwart of the World Sim Racing paddock, and yeah, big props, because you know it takes a lot of commitment, a lot of patience to be able to get to a good level of racing, and to be able to turn in week out. Really impressive.
Certainly is. Well, one thing that we do need to look forward to as well is race number 2, 19 places reversed. It's not the biggest reverse grid that we have here in the championship, but it's also not the smallest either. It's going to be an intriguing one, is this one for me, Peter, because it's the first time that we see some of those quicker pro drivers having to work their way through the field on a track that is difficult to overtake at.
Yeah, this is when it starts to get really interesting. Now, we had a fairly steady race in race 1 where everyone was well behaved and everyone stayed in a relatively similar part of the field compared to where they qualified. There was no big rises through the field, really. Interesting to see whether that's going to be possible now, because we've got a reasonable reverse, 18 cars. So you're going to have your winner, Aaron Vasquez, starting from 18th, and the simple fact is most of the 17 cars in front of him can't match his lap times. But can he make his way through the field? That is the question, and that is something to have a very keen eye on. So get comfortable. This could be a really intriguing race to see how our faster drivers come through the field.
And here's the thing as well that I want to touch on with this as well. Those quicker pro drivers who are working their way through the field, who are involved in the championship battle, the last thing that they want to be getting involved in is any instance where they could be adjudicated at fault as well. So they've got to be really careful working their way through as well.
It's a great point. Yeah, very, very good point. You've got to be clinical with your passes. You can't rush them, and you've got to take into account that the driver that you're going past is, maybe not at the same speed. Also, you've got to, sometimes you never know if someone's is gonna really defend hard from you or race you hard, or whether we've seen drivers literally pull over and wave a faster car through for no other reason than just letting them go. And drivers that you wouldn't expect to do it. I mean, I made probably the biggest commentary gaffe of my entire career on the back of one of those. So it can happen. So that's what we've got to keep an eye out for, to see how those pro drivers make their way through.
To be fair to you, Peter, I would have expected Adam to defend that his life depended on it, but there you go. We've got about 1 minute and 45 remaining here in the warm-up session before we go to the grid. Conditions out there, clear skies, it's middle of the day, and it's 35 degrees track temperature. Now, Jack Sedgwick made a very good point in the virtual paddock, which is that his left rear was crying by the end of that race.
Yes, and there are certain parts of the circuit where you really are, when you come through turns 2 and 3, that sort of long omega-shaped corner, you're really putting the left-hand side of the car, the left-hand side tyres, under immense pressure and load, and the same thing through 8, 9 and 10 also. So there are, it does get a bit of a battering through here. And Jack commented that the tyre went off after 3 laps, which is pretty alarming on a lap of 1 minute and 20 seconds long. So with that higher track temperature, that's only going to make it worse.
Yeah, it is. So it is worth these drivers just using this time to familiarise themselves, get themselves set for this second race of the evening. Pleasure to have you all along here watching us here on RaceSpotTV, and good to see Craig Williams as well, one of our drivers from the World Touring Car Series, joining us in the YouTube chat as well. So hello to Craig. And
Frank Beeler.
Yeah, Frank Beeler himself, yes, is certainly giving us plenty of entertainment in the World Touring Cars.
It's been fantastic this season, absolutely fantastic, in the sole Audi, hence the Frank Beeler name. So if you go with a really obscure car choice, you will get given a nickname, a good one too.
And don't forget as well, World Touring Car Series, you do get to watch that here on RaceSpotTV on Thursday evenings, so do make sure you check that series out as well, although we've got a week off this week from that series, so just like we're going to get a week off from this series next Monday. So this is the final race week of the third quarter of this championship this season. So let's take a look then at your starting grid, and it is Ethan Critchley and Sophia Ridpath sharing front row duties. Behind them is Adam Watson and Justin Clarson's on row number 2. Row 3 for Tim Perry and Tom Brown. Fourth row of the grid is your first pro drivers, which is James Armstrong and Marvin Lesmolman. Hunter McDaniel and Lucas Prada share row number 5 with Massimo Locatello and Alex Davidson on row number 6. Seventh row of the grid for Daniel Handover and Christoph Krekes with Fabio Undvadrus and Philip Koenig on row number 8. Row 9 for Jack Sedgwick and James Blamey. 10th row of the grid is your race 1 winner Aaron Vasquez and Daniel Sedgley, who just missed out on that reverse grid draw. Ashley Finch, Andy Archer, Jack Osborne and Adam Hedgecock round us out to row number 12. Row 13 for Paddy Faulkner and Maciej Sakovic with Lars Van Rijn and Sarah Raab on row number 14. The 15th row of the grid is Ben Palmer and Jeroen Kaiser. Row number 16 is Richard Simner and Mr. Ever Present Ben Gregory alongside him. Matt Woodhouse and Cody Crosgrove then on row number 17 with Pete Harrod and Brian Sohan on row number 18. And all on his own on row number 19 is Chris Gooch. So the drivers head out on their parade lap here before the start of race number 2. Ethan Critchley, Sophia Ridpath, that's a Pro-Am and an Am on the front row of the grid. What's their mentality going into this one, Peter? Because this is potentially some big points.
Yeah, keep it clean, keep it smooth, run your pace, and if someone's right up behind you and is threatening you, then, you know, maybe it's better to let them go. I think, yeah, keep it smooth and avoid the mistakes. That's what it's all about. You've got that grid advantage, use it.
You've got a grid advantage and you've got a track where it is difficult to overtake at, so it is the opportunity of a lifetime really to be able to get yourself a good result here in this race. And the drivers, some drivers choosing to be weaving a little bit, doing a little bit of brake dragging just to get a bit of heat into the tyres, whereas some just happy to just roll around, pace car pace, and just look after the tyres on this pace lap here. So the drivers will be heading through the chicane, and well, this is one of the key points for me is the chicane. Do you know what? The name of that corner is chicane. It literally is chicane. It's then got McDonald's after it, which is Peter's favourite corner. And then Stadion Garage is this straight down here before they head to the Shell S. Very, very technical, very tricky, but if you're someone like a James Armstrong, Marvin Lesmolman starting on row number 4, you can sense yourself a potential victory here as well.
Oh yes, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's the top, whoever the top pro driver is on the grid, they will fancy themselves, that's for sure. James Armstrong here, he's looking to try and put some points on the table. He's not in the top 8 in pro. Is it quite a tumultuous season, could you say? I mean, it's been up and down, so yeah, he'll be wanting to try and get a result here.
Well, the pace car will head onto pit road, so we're under starters' orders and we're under the control of Ethan Critchley as he watched what Vasquez did last race. Yes, he has, because he's got the loud pedal down. The green flag is in the air and we're underway once again, heading towards turn number 1. Critchley's got a jump over Ridpath, and Ridpath has got Adam Watson alongside of there into the first corner. Off the track go both Watson and Ridpath, and about half the grid here. What on earth is going on here? Everybody's taking to the grass.
Oh,
well, this is sensational. This is sensational stuff.
Oh my word. Sarah Rabb, Ben Gregory in the wall again. So his 301st World GT race ends up as badly as the 300th, but at the front, Ethan Critchley making a great breakaway, but everybody seemed to miss their breaking point there, Paul. Everybody.
I'll tell you
just
what,
how bad.
I would love to see a look at that again when we get the opportunity, but yeah, there was a good 5 or 6 cars decided that their tyres weren't up to temperature and just went straight off the track there at turn number 2. It was incredible to see that, but we stay green flag racing here. And it is Ethan Critchley who leads from Justin Clarson's. James Armstrong up 4 places from all of that into 3rd place. So Armstrong has had a real boon here for the Brabham Esports outfit as they come across the line here. End of the first lap. Critchley from Clarson's, from Armstrong. Tim Perry in 4th place. Lucas Prada's up 5 places. Alex Davidson up 6 places at the start here.
Well, that gives us an idea of how many went off. Probably 4 or 5 at the top 10 just missed their breaking point. And Adam Watson again. But Adam, bless him, we love him for it. He just can't say no to it. He's like, I've got to go for it. I've got to go for it regardless. And yeah, just missed his breaking point by a reasonable margin. And yeah, both him and Sophia Ridpath both off there, unfortunately.
Alan Vasquez making his way past. Just meanwhile, up at the front, Justin Clarson's and James Armstrong are duking it out. Now, if Ethan Critchley gets things go his own way, then he can pull away while these two fight it out at the front. It's worth pointing out Ethan Critchley was actually racing at the weekend in his kart, so it was the first round of his championship, and last time I went karting, I ended up, I think, with mine as white finger, with how much vibration goes through the wheel on those. So you can tell it's a sport for young people, but he is certainly running away at the front. Is Critchley. He's now 1.6 seconds ahead of Clarson's.
Yeah, very strong start to the race from Ethan Critchley. Takes the fastest lap of the race, which is immediately usurped by Christoph Karekas, who's having a good meeting so far in the green and gold Brabham Audi. But Armstrong, despite being the leading Pro Class driver, he is not able to get past Justin Clarson's. In fact, he was half a tenth slower than Clarson's last time by. And we've got many drivers in the pits taking repairs after their respective offsets. Adam Watson, who's come in to take repair, and another eventful night for Adam.
Eventful and Adam Watson.
I didn't have time to use my thesaurus.
Well, I think the definition of eventful in the dictionary should just have a picture of Adam Watson.
Yes, an illustration. Yes, I should actually have it bookmarked actually in my thesaurus. Eventful. Just and work through different words and sort of rotate them from week to week. We only jest at him, but he said to us after Zolder, after he threw me a huge dummy when I said he will defend this, and then he pulled over. And then he came into interview afterwards and said, "I'm a new Adam Watson. I just want to take it steady this year." And then the next round, he must have hit the tree, the pace car, the pit carriages. He hit everything in sight. I thought, oh no, he's back.
Well, somebody who is back is Alex Davidson, 6th place. He gained 6 places through all of that shenanigans on the opening of the race, and Lucas Prada to the inside. A little bit of side-to-side contact with Tim Perry, and Davidson's going to try and follow his Pure Sims Esports teammate. Oh, a terse flash of the headlights from Perry. He's not happy with Prada. Unfortunately, around this track, you sometimes have to get the elbows out a little bit, and as long as you're not punting people out the way, it's all fair in love and war.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and not that the Pro Class have a superior card to play, but don't be surprised if they come through on you firmly if it feels pretty aggressive. It's because they're going quicker. So yeah, that is something to take in mind. That Pure Sims having a really strong race here. Both Prada and Davidson making great moves forward and ready to score, because they need to land a big punch tonight. It wasn't a great race for Davidson in race 1, but this is much more like it. They need to land a big punch. While Anderuti's on the sofa watching, they need to score big points and say, okay, match that.
Massimo Locatello has the fastest lap of the race in 16th place. This is all the while being stuck battling with Jack Osborne and Andy Archer, so great stuff to get that fastest lap as Tim Perry and Daniel Handover are also duking it out as well. Although saying that, oh, that's Perry! That's Perry in the wall! Well, there's only one way that you manage to find yourself in that wall, and I fear it's getting some assistance. Oh, that lap traffic almost wiping out the Team Mad car.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. That was Brian Sohn again, causing issues in traffic there.
Yeah, that was assistance.
Yeah.
That was an assisted exit stage left.
Yeah, it was, and that's really, really frustrating for Tim Perry. And yeah, very, very damaged altitude Ferrari, unfortunately. So yeah, all he can hope for now is the hope that there's a high rate of attrition and that he can catch the reverse grid for race 3, but that's a big ask.
Certainly is. Meanwhile, your leader is Ethan Critchley still for Fat Atom. Justin Clarson's in second place, holding up James Armstrong, and now they've got a little bit of traffic in front of them as well. In fact, no, that's Brian Sohn that they're coming up to with the lap traffic now, so I don't know who it was actually. They were getting past lap traffic wise on the previous lap, but Ethan Critchley will be hoping that he can catch Brian at a place around the track where it's got a nice straight where he can just go past, because the last thing that Ethan wants is to allow Clarson's or James Armstrong to catch up here.
Yeah, as that is the last thing that he wants, that's for sure. Tell you what, the pace of Ethan Critchley's pace has been really, really good, holding a very similar pace to all of that leading bunch, so managing the gap very, very well with just over 8 minutes gone in this race. Your leader in Am, Andy Archer. Oh, who was that? Oh my goodness me, there's a spin right there in front of the drivers coming through. Is it Brian Sohn?
Yeah, it's Brian.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the thing is, he's doing the right thing in holding his brake and not moving.
Yes, exactly right.
Oh, careful with the rejoin, Brian. Oh, no, you want to get pulled away, but not right when there's traffic all coming through. What's happened here? Oh, he's just lost it himself. Oh, and Ethan Critchley must have taken a deep, sharp intake of breath right there as Jack Sedgwick goes flying round.
Well, Jack Sedgwick made a similar mistake there. Yeah, just got it really, the rear came around on him. So this extra, well, we saw Jack mentioning that his left rear tyre was dead. And, well, with a higher track temperature in this race, it looked like, yeah, the tyre just ran out of grip and round the rear went. And, you know, Jack's ex-World Championship driver give us an idea.
Well, let's take a look.
That is.
Let's take a look back at what happened at the start here. It was Adam Watson and Sophia Ridpath who seemed to give us and some of the rest of the field the way of not how to go through turns 1 and 2. Here we go from above into turn 1. Ridpath runs wide up over the curb. Watson's going off herself, and two others. One of the Brabham Esports Hissing Sid cars got entangled with a German SimRacing.de car, and 4 cars all off at turn number 1.
Linda was 2 German sim racing cars there, Les Millman as well, as that was Sohn getting turned around into the wall. So yeah, interesting, calamitous as well. That lap from Locatello was mighty impressive, it must be said. There in 12th overall, 122.839. One of very few drivers to get into that 122 bracket. All of your leaders, I mean, Ethan Critchley best at 123.0, 22.9 for Classens, 22.9 for Armstrong, and just 23.1s for Prada and Davidson. So that is some lap from Locatello.
Yeah, really impressive stuff from the German SimRacing.de driver. This battle for second place, I mean, Clarsens has got James Armstrong, Lucas Prada, Alex Davidson, Daniel Handover, Christoph Krekus and Aaron Vasquez all behind him. And Ethan Critchley must be loving this. He's now 2 seconds clear after the halfway point of this second of 3 races tonight. So Critchley And that Fat Atom racing car must be wanting to run to the hills at the front, but these cars behind, Armstrong just can't get his way past Larson's right now. So Justin Larson's doing a very, very good job right now.
Oh, superb. Yeah, I mean, Armstrong has not been able to lay a glove on him and threaten an overtake. Oh, big slide there from the rear of the Brabham Audi of Armstrong. And Prada, when will Prada arrive on the scene? He was 0.6 of a second quicker than Armstrong last time by, and 0.4 of a second quicker than Claassen. So Prada is the man on the move, and we've seen that he will, he won't be afraid to get his elbows out to get a move done. Just be careful of that big Pure Sims Mercedes coming through.
Yeah, it's got plenty got real estate at the front of the car, hasn't it, to stick a nose in. It certainly
That's
will.
Not the right adjective.
Somebody clip that. As we move through the S's then here towards the end of the lap and heading towards the Saxon-Anhalt curve, which is the final corner of this circuit. Through they go, and once again across the line. Lap times of around 1:23 for all of the top drivers right now. In fact, Justin Claassen's caught up 0.3 of a second on your race leader on that last lap. So this one isn't over yet at the front. Meanwhile, these drivers are giving us a display of patience between these drivers here that we're looking at.
Yes, there is. There is. Oh, a very close one there between Daniel Handover, number 67, and Alex Davidson in the 555 Pure Sims Ferrari. Very close there. There is a lot of points on the circuit here where there's very technical sections where you can kind of go fast in and sort of slow through the middle of the corner, or slow in and faster out of the corner, and they can converge sometimes to right on the nose here of Christoph Karekis for Brabham Esports, and right behind Daniel Handover, his stablemate, who's actually in the Pro-Am class, but has got by Karekis. Handover in the Hessing Sid team. That was nearly right at the back of the Hessing Sid Audi there. Oof, that was close.
That would have been a conversation between compatriots, wouldn't it?
Oh. Yeah. Don't stand on the Hissing Sid.
Insert your own jokes, folks. Across the line we go once again. Again, Critchley losing out time to Claassen's on that last lap. So those two at the front are getting a little bit closer, but time is running out here. It is two Pro-Ams who lead this race. Ethan Critchley leading overall and in Pro-Am ahead of Pro-Am compatriot Justin Claassen's in second place. Your top pro is James Armstrong in third place ahead of Lucas Prada and Alex Davidson in fourth and fifth places. Daniel Handover is the third placed Pro-Am in sixth place overall. Andy Archer is the best of the Am drivers in 14th place right now. Really good result. That would be for Andy to really secure his place at the top of the standings. Jack Osborne, second place in Am this race, down in 16th. Magic Sakovic, 17th overall, is your third placed Am here in this race. With 2 quarters of this race gone, the final quarter to go, and this is where, if there are any tyre problems for people, where they'll start to show.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we saw that being an issue in race number 1, and it's something that we haven't really experienced in the past on iRacing platform. The tyre usually, used to be, could be double stinted for 2 hours, sometimes more in bizarre cases. But now it's a tyre that's a bit more of a sprint tyre. It can be changed while there's fuel going in if you're in a race with a pit stop. But tyre wear isn't often that we talk about in a 20-minute race. As Claassen's finally under pressure from Armstrong, and Armstrong gets it done with a brave move. Great stuff from the Brabham Esports driver.
And once again, it was a mistake through that final corner. It was a mistake on the exit, that final corner, that cost Claassen's that position there. and I wonder if that's just him just pushing things a little bit harder than he would be if he was in the pack, and feeling a bit more tyre wear. And now Armstrong, he is getting on with it. He's getting a shift on here. He's already pulled away half a second over Justin Claessen's behind him, but he's got 1.5 seconds to catch up to Ethan Critchley. Critchley, he just needs to keep doing what he's been doing, because the lap time delta hasn't been that great, but Armstrong has got the bit between his teeth here. He can sense a potential race win here.
Yes, he can, but Ethan Critchley at his pace is very, very, very strong. 3 laps to go, and I think it's just all about not making those mistakes. You know, the lap delta, as you said, Paul, has been a tenth or two maximum, and not always consistently in the favour of Armstrong either. So Critchley has the pace to win this race. He's just got to execute now. No mistakes, and he's got it.
You're talking...
Nice and easy, no problem.
Well, I mean,
Easy.
You're talking about... yeah, piece of cake, as we've been seeing all evening, yeah. Marvin Lesmolman and Magic Sakovic, they're together out on track a bit further down as well. You're looking at about 2.5 laps here remaining in this race for your leaders. So, and in fact, Critchley is just... I think he's picked up the pace a little bit. I think he was maybe driving within himself slightly, just to look after his car, look after his tyres with that gap. And now that Armstrong is behind, he seems to have really put the foot down.
Yes, he does. This could be a hot lap here from Ethan Critchley in car number 97 for Fat Atom Racing. And that sort of Tequila Patron-esque colour scheme that they've applied to those Audis. See what the lap time is going to be. It was a 1:23.6 last time by, 1:23.4 there, 1:23.5 for Armstrong. So he is reacting to this pressure very positively. Oh, backing it in there through into turn 2 and 3. He's on it.
And well, I think that's a little bit that karting experience, isn't it? Backing it into the corner. And, really, I mean, it's not always the best way to do it in a GT car, but it's certainly working for him right now. But he's got about a lap and a half yet to go, so he's still got to keep... He doesn't need to race at 10 tenths. At the same point, you also need to keep a good pace up, just to keep that consistency up, because in the very few occasions that I have actually led and had a decent lead, the one time that I backed off on the last lap, I had like a 7-second lead around Bathurst. On the final lap, I nearly put it in the wall because I'd backed off. You've got to be on it to make sure you're hitting your marks and hitting the lines that you've been practicing all week.
Absolutely, it's all about that, just trusting that muscle memory, and that's what it comes down to as well, Paul. The more that you've practiced, the more that you've drilled this circuit into your muscle memory, easier it's going to be to execute under these types of situations where you've got a pro class driver on the headlight flasher coming onto the final lap. So it's this is when you need that preparation. That time Critchley was quicker again, but just by the 6,000ths of a second this time. Aaron Vazquez, we haven't talked much about him. He's had quite a quiet race, but he has progressed from 18th to 8th.
Yeah, he's up 11th. Well, 11 places on my end, but the problem is I thought he was actually opening the door then to Philip Koenig behind him. Oh, Koenig getting a flash of the headlights. He's not happy with the line that Vazquez took then through that hairpin, turn number 3, and they do separate out a little bit between themselves. But, well, that Brabham Esports car is doing a good job in 7th place as Karekas, but the Fat Atom car at the front has just got about 4 corners remaining here as Ethan. Keep it on the track, and he should be a race winner. Although I'd never like to declare that before the end of a race, because I remember what happened with Nigel Mansell at the 1991 Canadian Grand Prix when a certain Murray Walker said that he'd won. But here we are, through the final corner then, and it is going to be Ethan Critchley, not also a Pro-Am win, but also an overall win for him here today. Across the line, takes victory in race number 2 of 3 this evening with James Armstrong, your top pro driver, across the line, and Andy Archer. It's a good day at the office for Fat Atom here in the second race because Andy is your top placed AM driver.
Yeah, great day for Fat Atom. One to write home about, that is for sure. With a win in Pro-Am overall and in AM. Fantastic stuff indeed. A win in Pro for James Armstrong in Brabham Esports. I would say very good drive indeed from Lucas Prada and Alex Davison in the 555 Pearson's Ferrari. That puts them in a, I would say that scores them a really good chunk of points. Vasquez came home in 8th, so they gain a little bit back from what they lost in race 1.
As through the final corner comes Tom Brown. He'll be the last of your drivers to score as a result. So with that, what we'll do is bring up our spinning wheel and take a look at what will be pole position for the final race of the evening. We've got one more race to come up, folks, so do stick around with us here today on RaceSpotTV. As that wheel spins, we'll find where it will stop. And that is going to be quite a big reverse grid. 24 is the reverse grid draw here in this for the final race of the evening. Let's take you through the results and find out who is on pole. Ethan Critchley, though, he took advantage of pole position here for the Fat Atom team. Gets not only an overall race win, but Pro-Am win as well for him. Second place, James Armstrong for Brabham Esports. He's your top pro driver here today. Justin Claessen's the German SimRacing.de by ACV team. Second place in Pro-Am. Third place overall. Lucas Prada for Pearson's Esports ahead of his teammate Alex Davidson. They are fourth and fifth overall. Second and third in Pro. Daniel Handover ahead of Christoph Krekas with Alan Vasquez, race 1 winner, finishing 8th place. Then Philip Koenig and James Boemi round out top 10. Massimo Locatello then in 11th ahead of Jack Sedgwick, who had a big moment through the final corner during that race in 12th place. Fabio Unvedros 13th ahead of Daniel Sedgley. Your top AM is Andy Archer for Fat Atom ahead of his teammate Jack Osborne. 15th and 16th places for them. That's first and second in class. Marvin Lesbolman then in 17th ahead of the third placed AM driver. 18th overall for Magic Sakovic for Team Mad. Hunter McDaniel and Sophia Ridpath round out the top 20. 21st for Tim Perry ahead of Patrick Faulkner. And then the front row of the grid for the final race is going to be Pete Harrod, and on pole position for Penguin RC Simulations, Sarah Raab will be starting at the very front of the grid. The rest of the field will start where they finished. Adam Hedgecock, Jeroen Kaiser, Richard Simner, Lars Van Rijn, Adam Watson and Ben Gregory, who had contact on the opening lap. Tom Brown with Chris Gooch, 1 lap down. Brian Sohn also 1 lap down. And the rest of the drivers, well, 2 laps down or more. Matt Woodhouse for Team Mad, Cody Crosgrove, Ben Palmer and Ashley Finch do not finish the race. So it was a great day at the office for Fat Atom in this second race of the evening, Peter, because not only an overall win, but also first and second place in AM class as well.
Yeah, it's absolutely superb for that group to get so many results on the board here at Oschersleben, a circuit that, of course, is a pretty fresh challenge for the field as well. So to come there and the drivers to achieve that under that pressure is very, very encouraging indeed. In terms of the battle for the Pro Class Championship, it really kind of hangs in the balance a little bit because, yes, Aaron Vasquez won race 1 with Alex Davidson just a little bit, a little bit further back. That was kind of reversed there in race 2. So how they get on in race 3 is going to be very interesting to see if anyone gets a jump in that very close Pro Championship fight. Yeah,
it is very, very close in that AM Championship. But we are going to step aside for just a few moments, but please do see these products from our sponsors. Well, you join us here for the final race of the evening here in the World GT Championship. Round number 9 of the series, and we are heading towards the final break of this championship. This series, it splits its championship, it's 12 rounds up into 3-week blocks. So we get the opening 3 weeks and then a week off. Then the next 3 weeks and a week off. We're in the third block now of 3 races. We get a week off next week, and then it's the run-in to the championship finale. And Peter, nights like tonight can have a huge bearing on championships, and I'll tell you what, there's a few drivers eyeing up some good scores today.
Definitely, yes. I mean, Ethan Critchley put in some big points on the board in the Pro-Am class. That it really helps his challenge as well. Andy Archer solidifying his position in the Pro-Am. And of course, with Leandro Andaruti, our Pro Championship leader, not here, Aaron Vazquez getting a win in second, that puts him in a really strong spot. And then Davidson also putting a good event together as well. This third race is going to be really critical, though, to clearing out and closing off a good solid race meeting.
Certainly is going to be critical, that is for sure. We've been seeing about how difficult it is to get overtakes done around this track, and well, we've been seeing it once again in that second race. It is a tricky track, is this one, and even the drivers in the real world ADAC GT Masters, and also I believe DTM as well around here, really struggle to get the moves done. And that's where these reverse grid races can really throw a curveball for some people. Yes,
absolutely. It's it has been sort of notoriously difficult to overtake. It's popular for motorcycle racing as well, which of course is a bit easier to overtake due to obviously the a bit more we say compact dimensions of a motorcycle, and then you can overtake a lot easier. So yeah, it's just a challenge the drivers have had to get used to, and it's one that, you know, we've seen drivers make spaces up by putting their rival under pressure rather than making the hard passes. Although James Armstrong, he made a great pass, set it up well into turn 1 later on in that race.
Of course, this venue is a relatively new venue in the world of motorsport, built in, well, they broke ground in 1995 and was officially opened in 1997. It's hosted many events, as I say, DTM. It's hosted the World Touring Car Championship around here as well, the ADAC GT Masters. So it's seen a number of different series around this venue, and we have to say, we've alluded to it earlier, it is notorious for an incident that happened in the World Touring Cars under the old layout into turn number 1, where many cars into a tight left-hander just didn't add up.
Yes, exactly. It has happened in the past. Hopefully we won't have any of that. A lot of the drivers were predicting carnage, weren't they, Paul? But in race 1 and 2 that hasn't been the case at all. The first corner of race 2 aside.
It's amazing how a different venue can give a different attitude to the drivers. They're expecting carnage, so because they're expecting carnage, they take it a little bit, you know, they're a bit more wary, aren't they, in how they drive. Whereas Monza, everyone last week seemed to go into full sim racer mode of C gap equals send.
Yes, I suppose they did, yeah. Yeah, I think Monza, everybody knows what Monza is like, but there just didn't seem to be any allowance for that whatsoever. Tonight here at Oschersleben, completely different. I don't know if it's the fact that the drivers don't know the track as well, whereas Monza, they've all done thousands of laps around Monza. You know, it's a circuit that's been ever present on not just iRacing, but pretty much any racing simulator or game really ever has always had Monza. So, you know, it's a track that's super familiar.
Certainly is.
Maybe too familiar in last week's case.
Well, yeah, there is that possibility. Yeah, it is a track that everybody knows, and yeah, whereas this as you said, there were a few drivers last week said, "Oh, I'll have to buy this track first before I turn any laps." I mean, even for us in the commentary box, we don't actually do that many commentaries around this venue, do we? In series, this is the first time on iRacing that I have commentated on a series around here.
Yeah, like me also. Yes, me also. Driven around it quite a bit in the virtual form, but yeah, it's the first time I've commentated here at Oschersleben. Always good to get a new circuit under the belt, both behind the mic and behind the wheel as well. I do recall the promotional video, the first ever new car I ever had, which was still a lease, but it counts. It was delivered new to me with 9 miles on the clock, and it was a Golf R, and I remember I was waiting for it for about 4 or 5 months, and I remember there was a promotional video of Sebastian Ogier, how many is it now? 8 World Rally Championships he's had, and at the time he drove for Volkswagen, and there was a video of a sort of promotional video of him dragging this new Golf R around Oschersleben. So I suppose I've in one way or another I've been studying Oschersleben for longer than first anticipated.
To be honest, I think I'd be glad that Sebastian Ogier wasn't dragging my particular car around Oschersleben.
Oh, honestly, I would be honoured if I knew that Sebastian Ogier had even turned on the radio in my car. Hopefully some of that magic dust would sort of rub off.
Well, I mean, it was the law that at that time that if you wanted to be a world champion, you had to be named Sebastian. I mean, that was just a fact. I think it was one year there was Sebastian Vettel, Sebastian Ogier, and Sebastian Bourdais won in the IndyCar series as well. So it was a real sort of group of Sebastians that won their respective championships that season. Anyway, thankfully for the rest of you watching this broadcast who haven't fallen asleep through our chat there, we have got the grid to go through here for the final race of the evening, and as we said, through the results, it is going to be Sarah Raab who is going to be on pole position, front row of the grid for Penguin RC Simulation. Alongside her is Pete Harrod for Century Sim Racing. Paddy Faulkner and Tim Perry on row number 2 with Sophia Ridpath and Hunter McDaniel row number 3. Row 4 for Maciej Sakovic and Marvin Lesmolman. Jack Osborne and Andy Archer make it an all-fat atom. Row number 5. Row 6 for Daniel Sedgley and Fabio Unvadrus. 7th row of the grid for Jack Sedgwick and Massimo Locatello. James Boehme and Philip Koenig share row number 8, with row 9 Alan Vasquez and Christoph Krekers. 10th row of the grid for Daniel Handover and Alex Davidson, with Lucas Prada and Justin Clarkson sharing row number 11. The 12th row of the grid is James Armstrong and race 2 winner Ethan Critchley. Next row of the grid, 13th row, is Adam Hedgecott with Jeroen Kaiser, Richard Simner and Lars van Rijn, row number 14. Row 15, Adam Watson and Ben Gregory. 16th row is Tom Brown and Chris Gooch, with Brian Sohn and Matt Woodhouse, Cody Crosgrove and Ashley Finch. And those are the last drivers there. We have lost one driver from this final race. I believe that's Ben Palmer, who has elected not to take part in this final race. Well, one more race to go in this round of the World GT Championship, and we've got the BMW right at the front of the pack. It's fair to say it's not been the favoured car this season, is it?
No, not this year. No, it doesn't seem to be. But we'll see how they go this time around. There's a few of them near at the front. I would worry about those Audis right up behind as well, right behind there. And yeah, Hunter McDaniel's Audi, car number 64, definitely a driver to keep keen eye on here.
Hunter has been keen to make moves in race number 1, so interested to see what he can do here in this final race. But Sarah Raab, I mean, what does she need to do here from pole position? Does she need to copy what Vasquez and Ethan Critchley did in the last race, and that is go as soon as you've got the car straight through the final corner?
Yeah, that was certainly what Ethan Critchley did, and it worked out perfectly as well. So let's see how Sarah approaches it, and yeah, I think you just got to try and get the jump as quick as you can, and while everyone else is sorting themselves out, make as much of that front row grid position as you possibly can.
And just whatever you do, don't go off at turn 2 like
No,
we had. That's it's been a while. I thought we'd had rain introduced with the way that they all just suddenly went off. I thought we'd had a quick downpour at turn 2 with how they went off.
It was Sebastian Ogier that's had an oil spill. So he's blown the engine up doing the promotional videos.
Well, these drivers getting themselves to the final race, and by the way, if you are wondering about rain coming to iRacing, have a look at the iRacing social media. They put a little teaser out about rain, and in my opinion, it does look good. But of course, we've not been behind the wheel, we've not been testing it, so we know about as much as you do. Everybody at home. But here we go then, the final race of the evening here in the World GT Championship, and Raab is holding them. She is holding the grid here. Now she goes, green flag in the air, and we're underway for 20 minutes of action. Gets the jump on Pete Harrod, down towards turn number 1 they go. And it is Tim Perry looking to the inside, trying to make amends to that race, last race. A bit of a nightmare getting that damage, but Perry already is in 3rd place, gained a place on Paddy Faulkner, and we have got cars around towards the back, and Daniel Sedgley is one of them. There's James Boemi is off as well. Andy Archer, your AM Championship leader, involved in that, and Jack Sedgwick, I think, is involved in that as well. He's got a serious damage.
Yeah, he was. So the 2 top drivers in Pro-Am, Boemi and Sedgley, both hitting problems there as well. So that's great news for Tom Brown and Claessens, Harrod, Critchley, etc., who are all in the chase there of the championship. But great getaway from Sarah Raab. She played that everyone expected her to gas it up out of the last corner. She didn't. She held the field. She's her prerogative to do that as the pole sitter, and then punched the throttle and used that instant torque of that turbocharged BMW motor and shot away from the field.
But she hasn't shot away for long, because here's Pete Harrod right onto the tail of that vast BMW. As we've got cars off in the background, I believe Magic Sakovic is one of those, and also Philip Koenig involved in that. So Sakovic, who was third coming into this round of the championship, 3rd place in AM, he was hoping for a good result, and he's dropped down the order here. Quick look at what happened between Sakovic and Koenig, and was it Koenig's teammate Locatello, or Locatello makes the move, and Koenig gets contact there.
Yeah, that was the 65 of Christoph Karekes that hit the back of Koenig, and yeah, just caused he definitely wins the John Virgo Trick Shot Award for this week. There's always somebody's got to make a play for it. If you don't know who John Virgo is, just YouTube. Trick shots.
I can't believe this. Ben Gregory, he's been celebrating his 300th race, and he has had nothing but spins. He's had a case of the spinning tops this round of the championship. Every race at some point he's been facing the wrong way, and he's done it yet again here. I do believe that's all going to be on his own as well. Oh no,
hold on.
Well, it was on his own, but
yes.
he went into the side of the Team Mad car. I think that was Mark Woodhouse.
Oh, big move there from Maron Vasquez, and he needs to make big moves because Alex Davidson is surging ahead of him as well. So Davidson started behind Vasquez, but has made a great start to the race in his Pure Sims Ferrari. So Vasquez, race number 1 winner, got a lot of work to do here.
Well, this is going to be interesting. See how things go in terms of the championship. Sarah Raab still holding on to the race lead right now ahead of Pete Harrod and Tim Perry. I think there's been a bit more action happening in this race as Lucas Prada goes down the inside of Adam Watson, who decides that Audi, it's going back to its rally roots and going for a bit of grass tracking.
Oh, car off there, one of the Pure Sim SimLab cars. That's Ashley Finch. a word coming out of the virtual paddock. Jack Sedgwick has held his hands up for that incident on lap 1. He said it was, he apologised immediately and said it was, a quote, unbelievably stupid. So Jack Sedgwick owning up to that incident there. But Sarah Rabb continues to lead, but Pete Harrod is really on it right now as well, all over the back of that big BMW. And look out for Tim Perry in that altitude Ferrari as well, nearly gets into the back of Harrod there, and also Hunter McDaniel, he is on it.
I was about to mention Hunter McDaniel there, that fourth car, the dark green and gold Brabham Esports car. Oh no, it's not the, yes, as it goes through. I thought for a minute it should have been his and Sid colours, but McDaniel then, fourth place, trying his best. He's looking, he's loitering around Tim Perry. Here's a look back at what happened on lap 1 then. Jack Sedgwick, he's got Sedgley in front of him, and he's got one, he's just, gone into the back of Sedgley as Jack Sedgwick, and that's what's turned him around. So, and the thing is, the punishment for Sedgwick is that he ended up with that significant damage. So, we have got a bit of a trolley train at the front of the field right now. Behind Sarah Rabb, your pole sitter. And the thing is, that BMW has got so much grunt down the straights that she's able to just get a little bit of a gap over Pete Harrod. And Harrod is just getting a little bit frustrated, although that was a mistake by Rabb. If Harrod could get the little cut under... Oh, he's going to have a look, and Perry's into the back of Harrod. Harrod's around. Sarah Rabb carries on. Oh, you can almost see that coming there, Peter.
Yeah, you could, but it was on Perry not to get into the back of Harrod there as well. Pete Harrod will be furious with Tim Perry over that one as well. Absolutely nothing Sarah Rabb could have done about it, and she very, very nearly got tangled on more contact. Locatello drills the back of the 83 Ferrari again. It's Tim Perry again. Oh, so dear.
There's the move. Harrod looks to make the move. Perry gets it wrong in terms of his braking. And then down the start and finish straight, Perry's recovering. So he's at a disadvantage here. He's not got the momentum of the corner. He's got 3 cars all around him here. Locatello's there, as you say, going to turn 2, and Locatello just bang, straight into the back corner. And that was Alex Davidson involved in there, and he lost the place crucially to Alan Vasquez, and Davidson's dropped down the order.
Yeah, Davidson had nowhere to go. He wasn't necessarily involved, but then he was dragged into it, really had to slow up big time and avoid the spinning Tim Perry. So yeah, a little bit more chaotic here in this first few minutes as well. Understandably, with the bigger reverse grid, etc. It's car 64, Hunter McDaniel, big move up the inside there. That's a beautiful manoeuvre there. And Rabb just gets freight trained. That was a big move there from Hunter McDaniel. Perfectly fair, but that just sort of blocked past Sarah Rabb, and she had no option to turn in. She had to effectively wait till the road was clear, and in that time, Les Millman and Unverdruis both went through. Unverdruis has had a quiet night so far. We haven't said much about him. Sometimes quiet nights can be good things, though. You haven't been in any accident.
Yeah, certainly, and with a great opportunity here, along with Marvin Lesmolman, to try and get a win as well. GermanSimRacing.de, the 2 teammates, 2nd and 3rd place, and they're working their way through now and trying to get away. But yeah, Hunter McDaniel, the Brabham Esports driver, leads this race at this moment in time with 12 minutes remaining. Sarah Rabb, still your best AM driver in 4th place overall, ahead of Paddy Faulkner and Sophia Ridpath, and they now have a queue of cars behind them. You've got Locatello, Krekas, and Vasquez seems to be one driver who's been able to make up places around this track where others have not. Well, they're saying that. In 10th place, Ethan Critchley has made up 14 places.
That's very impressive, and he's just set a 1:24.0. That was 2/10 quicker than Vasquez. Who was that in the wall? Who was that in the wall?
Soen
in the wall, okay. So, and they all get through clean enough. A good charge through the field from Hunter McDaniel, with Marvin Lesmond right behind in the Porsche. Vasquez he's got a good opportunity here. He's got to be careful though as well. There's a lot of piranhas around him. Christoph Karek has had a few pieces of contact. Got to be careful here with Vasquez, but there's an opportunity to score a good chunk of points on Alex Davidson after that incident.
Ridpath just showing that BMW's vulnerability at changing direction. Through turn 1 into 2, just ran out wide, and that allowed Locatello to move past, and then Karekas takes advantage of that. Vasquez has got held up though behind Ridpath, and Vasquez has got to be careful now because James Armstrong is behind. Armstrong, he'll be wanting to try and make up and get a good result as well, because he's up 13 places as well. He's actually got ahead of Ethan Critchley in this race. So Armstrong, after a second place in race number 2, wants another good result here in the final race of the evening as they go through the Shell S. Once again, your top Pro-Am is Ethan Critchley, by the way, as there goes Vasquez, not making the move. I thought he was going to make the move, but then backed out of it. And I think that's wise for somebody involved in the championship battle to not get involved in silly incidents.
Yeah, very much so. And here comes Vasquez now, going to make a move on 33 as Sophia Ridpath gets it done in time. Hard on the brakes, getting that Audi to rotate round nicely. And then next in his sights will be Christoph Karekes. It was Armstrong actually that he was battling with before. So Vasquez continues. But with Davidson back in 15th, this is going to plan right now for the Altus Audi driver.
Yeah, this has been a really, really good round for Aaron. He has done a sensational job as the young Spaniard, and finds himself once again in the top 8. Finished in the top 8 in both the first, well, he won the first race, finished in the top 10 in the second race, now in the top 10 here in this third race, and he looks like he's not done yet. He is going to keep moving forward here with 9 minutes and 6 seconds remaining here in this race. It is the World GT Championship, and there goes Vasquez on Paddy Faulkner down the inside of the DCW Racing driver with their sporting, their bright sporting kit, shall we say, for DCW Racing. James Armstrong now making a lunge down the inside of not just one but 2 AM drivers in Ridpath, and I think he got caught out with Faulkner there. Faulkner's given a flash of the headlights. He's not happy with James Armstrong's move.
Nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it. Yeah, nice, firm, aggressive move there from James Armstrong. Really impressive stuff. Let's get another look at it again, how he sets this up. So, you got 2 cars ahead, BMW of Ridpath, Audi of Faulkner.
Oh, he doesn't quite get it to the apex, does he? He doesn't hold the apex there. I think that's what Faulkner was upset about.
Yeah. It's motorsport, not tiddlywinks. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Sure, be annoyed about it, sure, whatever, but there's nothing to be concerned about with that move, really. I mean, you've got to be ready. You've got to be ready for those moves. And you know, if you see a pro driver close, you can always cover the inside line if you want. You will compromise your exit, of course. Well, but that's all why we're here to watch it.
Well, Sarah Raab is still in 4th place, doing a really good job ahead of Massimo Locatello and Christoph Krakis and Alan Vasquez. Sarah is on for a good haul of points here if she's sensible about it, and she is being sensible about it, because you can see she's left the space there. Ooh, comes across and chops her nose off as I say that. But Locatello just couldn't get the power down compared to that BMW out of the final corner. But around the outside of one, Raab has to take to the curbing, and now is once again going to get freight trained here.
Yeah, but again, just keeps an eye on where each car is. Loses those positions, but that's okay. Still leading the class. So we've got Sarah Raab from Sofia Ridpath in at the AM class right now. Great to see. Both Sarah and Sofia have both had their fair share of bad luck, it must be said. So great to see them having a clean night in the office and being able to show the speed that they've got.
Ultimate Daniel, by the way, is now 2 seconds clear of Fabio Unverdrus, who had made his way past Marvin Lesmolman. So Unverdrus up into third place. And Maciej Sakovic facing the wrong way. That's down at the hairpin at turn number 7. And he's done it all on his own here, Peter.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, it's fast through here and just wanting to bite off that a little bit more. And hard on the brakes. Ready, round it goes. Just asking that a little bit too much and it just over-rotated on him. And no harm, no foul though.
He
A little bit of grass in the wheel arches, yeah. That'll hose out.
Does come out ahead of Lars van Rijn, so he's dropped down to 29th now as Maciej through all of that. So Locatello is ahead of Krekos and Vasquez, with James Armstrong now the latest one to get past Sarah Raab. So it's the top 7 are pro drivers. They have been able to work their way through. Unverdrus up 10 places. Locatello up 10 places. Krekos up 13 places. James Armstrong 16 places gained here in this race. So some big moves being made here in the top 7.
I tell you what, James Buemi clearly shows that driving with the red mist after that lap 1 incident, it certainly fuels him on. He's got the fastest lap of the race, and by my reckonings, the fastest lap of the day, 1:22.562 for Pro-Am class driver and podium finisher in race 1. Don't forget, James Buemi. Wow.
Yeah, he's got the bit between his teeth, hasn't he? And he's kind of on his own.
He's chopped straight through the bit. He's so angry after that first lap incident.
Yeah, and that's it. You would be you're disappointed, aren't you, about your drive? There's the conditions. We're partly cloudy, and it's 32 degrees is the track temperature, so a little bit cooler than race number 2 for this final race of the evening here in the World GT Championship. Let's guess right now. He'll be delighted with how this week has gone. He'll be absolutely over the moon in terms of the points that he's gaining here in this round.
Oh yeah, and with Anderuti on the sofa, brilliant.
And Ross McFarlane.
And Ross McFarlane, yes, a great point. Yes, absolutely. No, this is all looking very good for Aaron Vasquez, and then also get that good result in, and you've got that 2-week break week. I tell you what, to go into that break week having landed that punch makes your rivals think about it and makes them question their position. Vasquez goes into that break with his shoulders up and his head held high and all other associated cliches, and yeah, he's been this particular, this since we went past the halfway point of the season, he's just switched it on big time.
Certainly has. Finds himself in 6th place right now. I don't think he needs to force anything of the guys in front right now. I think he can quite happily just sit there and pick apart any move if an opportunity comes up, but I don't think he needs to force it. Hunter McDaniel's lead is down to 1.8 seconds now at the front, so he has still got the lead as the Brabham Esports driver, but I would say it is a comfortable lead. He should have about a lap and a half to go in this race. They've been keeping a good pace going in this race as the front runners. It's still really good going for that Brabham Esports driver.
And I tell you what, Paul, what a tenacious recovery from Tim Perry. Yes, okay, it's not going to be the overall result that he might have wanted, but he's still second in the Pro-Am class. So despite being bashed about and spun around, he's still ahead of Alex Davison. He's still ahead of Daniel Handover, some big, fast drivers. So yeah, great response to adversity from Tim Perry, I'd say.
And look at this, your pole sitter, Sarah Raab, still in 8th place for the Am Drive. Oh my goodness, onto the gravel, into the wall, into the side of Rid Perfect Critchley. Oh my goodness, how in one turn things can change just like that.
Oh, what did I say about them already having their fair share of bad luck? And it continues. Sarah Rabb makes a mistake of her own, I think. Let's have another look at it just to confirm. Is there contact
gravel.
between?
It's
No,
gravel.
just hits the gravel and then, so unlucky. They take Ethan Critchley with them as well, but Rabb and Ridpath come off worse. Oh no. Oh, that's gutting for both drivers there.
Just when it was looking like it was going to be a really good point stay for the 2AM drivers. I was just about to make that point as well. Oh, one little mistake.
Season.
Yes, unfortunately it is.
Great speed, class-leading speed all season, just has not gone their way. Really hope we get them back next season because they do have class-leading pace for sure.
So actually we are going to get an extra lap here because Hunter McDaniel, with half a minute still to go, will see the white flag and will start the final lap of the third race of the evening here in the World GT Championship, and has got a comfortable 2.7 second lead. Meanwhile, Alex Davidson feeling the need to make some moves on Tim Perry, and does so in a robust manner. Perry won't take that sitting down, not with the manner of some of the moves that have been made on him tonight. He'll be a little bit perturbed, but not able to get to Davidson. So Davidson should hang on to 11th place at least here. Adam Vasquez, through everything, is actually up to 5th place now. So he has actually gained a place on Caracas, has the young Spaniard. Really good day at the office for the Altus Esports driver, but Hunter McDaniel, the final lap of this race, the Brabham Esports driver. It's going to be a good day at the office for Brabham Esports in terms of podium results. It was a podium for James Armstrong in race number 2 of the evening, and Hunter McDaniel's just got a couple of corners to go. Careful now, don't get too far out there. And then the final corner, through he goes, and Hunter McDaniel sees the checkered flag. He is a race winner here for Brabham Esports in the third race of the evening here in the World GT Championship. Coming through, Ethan Critchley, he got caught up in that incident with Ridpath and Raab, but still going to be the AM winner here in this race. But right behind him, Paddy Faulkner, Pro-Am should I say, because Paddy Faulkner for AM in the DCW Racing takes AM victory here, 10th place overall in the end there.
And here come Sarah Rabb and Sophia Ridpath. So unlucky, particularly for Ridpath, who kind of got gathered up in the incident. But what a shame. And Ben Gregory, well, 300 race starts now on, will be 302 he's had now, and unfortunately this sort of milestone moment has been littered with issues for Gregory, but he'll be back, you can be sure.
Certainly will. Last of the cars going across the line is Cody Crosgrove. But your race winner, Hunter McDaniel, he'll be delighted with that result to take victory here today in this final round, the final race of the evening. Let us take you through your provisional race results then for this race, and it is Hunter McDaniel for Brabham Esports who wins that one, 2.8 seconds over Fabio Unverdruss in that German SimRacing.de by ACV car. Then the German SimRacing.de car of Marvin Lesmolman rounds out the top 3 here today. Massimo Locatello, another one of those German SimRacing.de by ACV drivers, well, he finishes in 4th place, ahead of Adam Vasquez. Brilliant night for Aron to finish in 5th place here in this final race. That's a gain of 12 places in this race. Christoph Caracas for Brabham Esports ahead of his teammate of James Armstrong. Lucas Prada in 8th. Then the top Pro-Am is Ethan Critchley for Fat Atom. Great day for Ethan here today. Paddy Faulkner for DCW Racing is your top AM in 10th place. Alex Davidson, one of your championship contenders, in 11th, ahead of Tim Perry, who's 2nd place in Pro-Am for Altitude Esports Blue. 3rd place in Pro-Am is Daniel Handover for Brabham Hissing Sid. Jack Osborne is the second placed AM driver for Fat Atom in 14th, ahead of Philip Koenig. Sophia Ridpath does end up finishing in 16th place, third place in AM here today, ahead of your own Kaiser, Chris Gooch. Andy Archer, who had to have a bit of a recovery drive in that final race, and Adam Watson running at the top 20. 21st for Sarah Raab after one little mistake. That's all it takes around here, and it cost her a potential top 10 finish here. But Daniel Sedgley behind her with Matt Woodhouse, Justin Clarson's Ben Gregory, the Triple Centurion, in 25th place overall in the end here, ahead of James Buemi. Ajit Sakovic, Lars van Rijn, Cody Cosgrove and Pete Harrod round out the top 30. And the final few cars here, and this one, Adam Hedgecott, Tom Brown ahead of Brian Sohn, all one lap down. Ashla Finch, the only driver not to finish that race, 6 laps down that is, and Richard Simner and Jack Sedgwick, opening lap incidents, meaning that they did not finish either. Well, Peter, that was a great day, but I think what we are going to do though is speak to a couple of you drivers. I think it's only right to give the driver with the celebrations in Ben Gregory the opening salvo here.
I think that's only fair. Ben, you made it 300 starts in the World GT Championship. I mean, if you were to come away with one favourite memory of your time in the championship, what would that be?
Ooh, that's a good question. First win, maybe? That Watkins Glen? Yeah, a very long time ago when I could actually catch up to people, but yeah, that'll probably be one of the better ones, yeah.
A success. I mean, tonight, the car looked good. I like the livery. The livery was cool.
It's a shame that everyone else wanted a piece of it, unfortunately.
They liked it so much that, yes, they was just taking bits and pieces out of it.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I mean, tell us about this Oschersleben circuit. Many drivers saying it's difficult to overtake. We saw that on stream for sure. I mean, what's it like to drive, though?
I think when you don't have any other cars around you, it's a really good driver's challenge. Like, the fact you have to be very patient on throttle to get out the corners properly is really good. It's just very difficult to make set someone up for a pass for a few corners, because you get a good run at another one corner and another corner. It's but there's no gap in between where you could make a lunge or make a pass. It's kind of a bit difficult, but yeah, I at least enjoyed the qualifying and solo laps. It just was a bit of a struggle everywhere else.
Well, Ben, congratulations on getting to 300 race starts, a record here in the World GT Championship, and here's to the next 100.
Yeah, let's hope.
Thanks, Ben. So, next up, we have joining us in the RaceSpotTV commentary box, Paddy Faulkner, AM Class winner. How does that feel? Paddy Faulkner, speechless at his AM Class win. Will allow him to gather himself before
he's
giving
overcome
us
with
his
emotion, I think.
He is completely overcome with emotion.
There we go.
And so he's finally gathered his thoughts now. Here he is. Paddy, how did that feel to get that AM Class win? Oh, he's had to go and gather himself again, Paul. We might have to come back to him, I think.
The problem is that we are running out of time on this broadcast,
yes,
what we will do is get do some final thoughts here, Peter, because it was the first time that the series has come to Oschersleben, and all the doom and gloom that was being put into the virtual paddock here didn't pan out on the whole. I thought it was some really good racing, especially in races 1 and 2.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. I wonder how if the calamities of Monza last week maybe made the drivers go in a little bit more conservative, possibly, or was it the fact that the circuit was relatively new, so drivers had to take it a little bit easier? I don't know, but the quality of driving was very, very good tonight. And yeah, in the championship fight, well, Vasquez, he just landed that really important punch before we go into the critical final 3 rounds of the season.
And you pointed out there, final 3 rounds of the season, and well, what a venue we're going to next time out, because it's an endurance round in 2 weeks' time around Daytona International Raceway, a track that you know very well, Peter, don't you?
Yeah, it's a fantastic endurance racing venue, and I think the fuel save and having allies up there at the front to work with will be really, really important to making strategy work, particularly. So, who does that play into the hands of? Well, Pure Sims have 3 really fast drivers fighting there at the front: Davidson, McFarlane, and Prada. Will that give them advantage? We'll see.
We certainly will see. That's in 2 weeks' time then, on the 17th of April. I can tell you an update on the championship standings. Ana Vasquez, 13 points clear of Leandro Andaruti going into the final quarter of the championship here. It's going to be an absolute nail-biter all the way to the end of the season. But from myself, Paul Smith, from Peter Mackay, Connery Maddock behind the scenes giving us all the pictures, it's a goodbye from RaceSpotTV.